Hi, and welcome to the coffee lecture. We'll get started in about a minute when at 1 o'clock. Yeah, EndNote's been around first, I think. From my memory, EndNote was first, but yeah, I think the support you get from Zotero, I push Zotero because it's got so many features and so much community support. I used Mendeley, but Mendeley was bought by Elsevier, and then a lot of the functionality kind of disappeared along the way. Yeah. And I was in research science, as a researcher, I always used what my collaborators were using. So that's also an influence. So in biology, I used EndNote. In computer science, I used BibTeX or LaTeX, so I think that also plays a big factor in what you choose. Hi, it's 1 o'clock. We can get started. Welcome to the last lecture in the 35th coffee lecture series, coming to you from the Infocentrum at ETH Zurich. So I'm Gina Cannarozzi, and today I'm going to talk about the interfacing Obsidian knowledge management system with Zotero, a literature management system to produce happy scientists. Okay, let's see, just a sec here. Okay, so the question is, how do you organize your information? For the longest time in my life, I put everything in browser tabs, and I could have hundreds of browser tabs open at any time, and then suddenly I'd fill the memory, the browser would crash, and it was all gone. I'd have a reset and start over again. So that is not ideal. And another famous case is in making the Oxford English Dictionary. This is James Murray, the head of the project. They stored the definitions for all of the words in the Oxford English Dictionary on little slips of paper in this scriptorium. So they had millions of slips of papers and ended up with 414,000 words. So how they documented the usage was that they would ask volunteers to send in how the words were used. They would keep all of those slips together for each word. And then at the end, when they wrote the definition, they could document how it was used. Crazy. And after all of this, the collections for one word bondmaid were misplaced, and the word was omitted, and he was embarrassed. So they have a letter from him 14 years later still saying, oh my God, I can't believe it. We left out that word. It's really an interesting story. Okay, so we'll talk about Obsidian. This is the same kind of thing, but a digital personal knowledge management. It's all done in text files, and it's all done with markup. So what about Obsidian? It's free. You get most of it for free. I pay $54 a month to sync across computers. So that means I can take notes on my handy, I can take notes at work, I can take notes at home, and they all go into the same place. You could, in theory, do that with Polybox, like save your Obsidian vault onto Polybox, but they don't recommend that because if you get two open at the same place, you'll have a conflict, and it doesn't deal with the conflict well. You stand to lose information. I think $4 a month is a small price to pay for this. Okay. So the other nice thing is all the data is stored on your device, not in the cloud. If you're interested in data privacy, this could be an issue for you. Both Obsidian and Zotero have extremely enthusiastic communities that are always developing new plugins. They share their workflows in Obsidian, and they also are there for support if you need it in the community forums. So how Obsidian works is you store your notes or your documents in text files. That's not new, but what's nice is you have links. You can link from one idea to the next. So if I make an idea, like for scientific writing, put the action in the verb. I can have that idea on OneNote. I can link it in the course. I can link it in a book if I'm writing. I can link it in every place that it's applicable. And that means I only update it once, and I can see it from wherever I am. This is something that's very useful in Obsidian. And the other thing I want to emphasize today are tags, hashtags. So when you have a network of information, now you search it with hashtags. So you have to tag everything. So for you guys, students at the beginning, I would think really long and hard about what system you want to use for tagging your stuff. You have to have a consistent set of tagging and use the same set of tagging in Obsidian if you use it, your note taking, and in the literature management, which is Zotero, because Zotero also has tags. And so the idea between putting these two together is you do your annotation, your reading in Zotero, and then you have your annotations and your tags, and you import them into Obsidian. There's a lot of markup here. We have a coffee lecture online about Obsidian. You can do bullets, and you have the source view here and the reading view here. So if I put a little dash, it'll show up as a bullet point. That's not that important for today. Okay, you can also include images and files. There's the picture of Murray, and in markup, it looks like this. It'll show up like this. And it has a calendar which you can use as a to-do list. So if I say, okay, in September, I have to do something, I can put it on my calendar, which is here. It'll open up one note for every day. And then you can manage your things that way. Those are just some things. The other thing I like is the graph view. So you can view your entire thing as a graph, and you can see here in this picture, you can't read what they are, but this is a hashtag. The hashtags are in green. So this hashtag I have in a lot of different files. And this is, for example, I went to a conference. This main thing is the conference. And then every talk I went to, I made like a separate note for that. So for me, it's a nice way to collect this information. It has a lot of filters. So you can filter this, you can display subnetworks. I mean, there's so much in Obsidian, and I'm just at the beginning. I use it for only the basics. So the idea is you keep and store your notes, you write the information once and link it via links and tags to all the places you need to use it. Okay, so I've been harping about tags, but that's because it's important for this, the marriage of Obsidian and Zotero. I can search the tags. When I search the tag writing paragraphs, I come with all of the examples of that. And that's where, since I teach scientific writing, I do writing underscore and then the subtopic. And that's kind of my management system. You can always go back and change it at the end because these are text files. So important lesson number one is the systematic use of hashtags improves the continuity across applications. Okay, so what is Zotero? Zotero is open source. Again, like Obsidian, they have a very enthusiastic community that's happy to help, shares functionality, creates plugins, etc. And that's why these two tools are so well integrated. Zotero also is integrated into Research Rabbit. It's cloud-based for literature management. I think that's fine because then you can have the same collection of literature in the cloud and access it from wherever you are, and also you can share. The idea is that you import, organize, and make notes on PDFs and EPUBs. They support EPUBs now, which is good for book readers. You can import your, like whatever you're reading, and then keep your notes there. I like to keep notes sometimes on books I'm reading, and you get all of the metadata. What's nice at ETH Zurich is they have an institutional license, so you get a lot of storage. It says here unlimited. I guess it's unlimited, or else it wouldn't be on the slide. It's either unlimited or so much that it's, you know, in practice unlimited. Okay, so if we look at the interface, you have here your literature. These are all papers I have read. I can organize them with folders, and I can import the metadata. So when you import anything, the importation is really easy. There's a browser plugin. You can just click on it. It'll import the paper. You get all of the metadata here and also the PDF. Okay, so what's important here is that you can keep notes and tags. Also, they've just released version 7 in 2025, which was a major revision. You can keep web page snapshots, which is important. If you're using that as a reference, it'll save the snapshot of the web page and the date and all of the date it was accessed. And it has a lot of ways to annotate. So you can highlight, you can underline, you can draw, you can make sticky notes. Okay, so that's what's important here. So if I look at a paper in Zotero, here you can see the annotation I've done. I've highlighted, I've like underlined in different colors. I made a sticky note. I even drew a picture of a ribosome traveling along a sequence. And I can make item notes. So this is a paraphrase I've done of some idea I thought was important in this paper. If I highlight something, I have the possibility just to add it to a note and it'll show up here. So what we're going to do is import these notes and these annotations into Obsidian using a script. Okay. Yeah, also in these little things on the side which show the metadata, you have this one which is tags. So I've tagged this with translation speed and tRNA. And I will get those tags as hashtags in Obsidian, which makes them easy to search. Okay, so I've looked at several of these ways to integrate Zotero and Obsidian. The one I settled on was this one. So email me, I can email you this link, but basically in Zotero, you have to add better bib text. She uses Zotfile to give PDFs meaningful file names better than like the number that sometimes it's downloaded with. In Obsidian, you have to add the Zotero integration plugin. She puts Pandoc reference list, which will create a reference list like this, which is good if you're writing directly in Obsidian, but I'm not, so I didn't put this one in. And then you have to create literature notes with a template given in the article or ask. She has released a template and now recently updated it. I have the previous version and the colors didn't work for me, so I had to tweak it to get the colors to work right, but I'm happy to share. And this template will pull the annotations, the notes, the highlights, and the tags with their colors. So you get that in Obsidian. There's a gazillion plugins from this active community in Obsidian. So this is the one I took, Zotero integration. Then you have to go to the settings and change a lot of the settings, but this is well documented on that web page. So at the end, I get this. It has the metadata, the title, year, authors, and here are the tags, and the tags are Obsidian hashtags. So this also didn't work for me seamlessly on the first version, but I've got it working now. So if it doesn't work for you and you want it, you can ask. I have a link to this. If I click on this link, it'll jump back to Zotero. And I have here persistent notes, and this means I can write these notes and keep my own notes there. And if I like change the annotation in the file and reload this into Obsidian, it'll keep my persistent notes. And that's a nice feature. That way you're not constantly rewriting your file. Yeah, so these are the notes I put in there. Here are the highlights, and the colors aren't exactly the same, but it's close enough. So I think this is really super cool. So that's it. If you need help with that, I'm happy to help. The idea is to develop a workflow, and I think there's a lot of thought that has to go into the color scheme, the tagging scheme. Once you've established the system that works for you, then you can set it up to work in both Zotero and Obsidian. And here we have Obsidian and Zotero getting married, and their baby is the happy scientist that can read in bed with their tablet. Okay, and that's came from Reddit. Redditing aimlessly user, they sit in bed. Well, she doesn't say they sit in bed. They do the markup on the iPad and then import that via Zotero into Obsidian. And then once it's in Obsidian, you can make atomic notes from that. Okay, so there's a coffee lecture card, and I can click this in the chat. Oops. No, I can't. Okay. Anyways, it's available, so email me if you're online and you want to have the coffee lecture card. It doesn't have anything about Zotero here, but I'm happy to share. So if you want more information, please email. Are there any questions in the room or on Zoom?